Shall we begin? Let's begin now. Let's begin now.
This is not a drill.
Repeat, this is not a drill.
Is that all you got?
Let's begin now.
What up? Oh, for sure.
Hi everyone. It's what is it? Week 3 of lockdown, or is it, or 4 or 2? I don't know. How's your lockdown going? Because if you saw my live stream earlier, I thought it was Sunday today. Honestly, I really did. I don't know the day of the week. Time's lost all meaning. The days of the week have lost all meaning. Of course, it's Easter Friday. Hi everybody, how are you? Yeah, Easter Friday, and obviously with this being the British weather, the first Easter weekend I can remember in a long time. It's blazing sun, and we're all told to stop at home. But thankfully, it seems that most people are. Hi everyone. Let me get straight into this because I don't want to waffle on too much. Friday night, stuff to do. So I've spent a couple of days, as most people will do this time. I've spent a couple of days sorting things out at home, using this time as best as I possibly can, and relaxing as well. It's a good time to relax, especially, with the sun the way it is. It's nice weather out there, especially, I feel sorry for the people who haven't got a garden right now. I really do. Unfortunately, we've got one here. But the one thing I have been doing over these last few days while I've been relaxing is reveling in the fact that the mainstream media, it seems, is no more. I think they've gone away. I think the legacy media, mainstream media, the corporate media, whatever you want to call it, gone bye-bye. You might have seen this the other day. This is Neil Henderson, who is, what is he? He's BBC News Desk and planning editor. This is a tweet he fired out the other day. The newspaper industry is in massive trouble, he says. Ad spend has plummeted, and many journalists are being furloughed or just fired. Reporting is vital in our society, arguably now more than ever. If you're passing a shop on your walk today, please #buy a paper. Anna Brees said, first comment comes up. These comments are very serious indeed, because you can imagine, I'm just going to have a scroll down these comments, you can imagine what people came back with. Journalists, where? It is just a never-ending torrent of people saying, are you kidding me? Are you kidding? Of course, the mainstream media is dying, and this is something that they've obviously were all told to do on Twitter that day, because here's Tom Newton-Dunn, who's, I think, editor of The Sun, is he? Let's have a look. Political editor of The Sun. He came out with #buy a paper as well. There were several. He's David Wooding. I'm going to go through these though, because it's funny. So they came up with this #buy a paper to try and resurrect their failing industry, and immediately, or almost immediately, seemingly immediately, #don't buy the Sun started trending on Twitter. And of course we know the reason why. Tom Newton-Dunn said this: thus ends another extraordinary, harrowing and difficult day in journalism. Oh. All of us working on newspapers at the moment are doing our level best to provide trusted information about the COVID-19 crisis. Please support our industry and buy the paper. Daniel Fuchs, no. Just straight to the point, no. Yeah, my sentiments entirely, Daniel. You should see some of the comments. I'm just going to scroll down some of the comments here. And you can see, this is his only comeback, look. I just don't understand why angry people like you follow me then. And there were so many of you. He even gets ratioed on that, look. It is glorious, this is. Especially if you've been following this channel, and you can see that, my motto last year was make Orwell fiction again. And it's the Sun, the scum, who you know, were one of the worst media outlets in my lifetime. I mean, this is them not long ago, remember? Somebody replied with this, don't buy the Sun. This is them not long ago. Remember when the junior doctors were on strike? Sack them, the Sun said. Sack them. This is them now. On the side of angels, they say. You see how it works? You see how the Sun, you know, they have no morals. And there are just oodles of people. It's endless. This is the vitriol that's been directed at these people. People are somebody else there. Somebody else reminding them of what they were like in the not too distant past. It's beautiful. And of course, the ratio on them is really quite 1.8k likes, 4.5k comments. This one's a beauty. This one is. The ratio. Oh no, and it was. Well, that one is really weird. That was thousands yesterday. That was the ratio on that. It was like 12,000. Look at that. All of a sudden it only says 352 and 218 likes. Where have all those gone? Isn't that weird? That was like 12,000 yesterday. I've got a screenshot of it somewhere. Let me see if I can find that screenshot. I know I took a screenshot when it was... You know what? I know it's on my Twitter thread. That's really weird, isn't it? That was thousands that was ratioed. It had something like 12,000 comments that did. I'm sure it was that one. Let me check my Twitter thread while I'm here. I'm sorry, everybody. But I've literally just come across that, and that is... Was it David Wooding I took that screenshot from? I think it was, you know. Because I took a... No, it was Dan Wootton. Where's Dan Wootton? Dan Wootton's comment. Let me find that. Sorry, everybody. I'm missing a screenshot. I'll have to remember to edit this. It's live. It's live. Do entertain yourselves while I find this guy. Got to find this tweet because I've got to put it in this video when I cut it and put it out. You see? Bollocks to it, I can't find it now. That's a shame. That's a shame. Oh well. Get back to it. So you can see the level of vitriol that is just levelled at them, and rightfully so. You know, if you look at their history, you look at what they're doing, they've killed their own profession. These prostitutes and propagandists have. The media, right now, who have relied on advertising, is dead. Media such as The Sun. They're dead, they're dying. You know, only publications that survive and have survived on crowdfunding or a subscription basis really have got any chance of going forward in the future climate if you look at it. I've already seen evidence of this as well, because you might have seen recently, as recently as January, there was a report that the Sun newspaper lost £68 million last year. 68 million. And that was a report from January. How much do you think they're going to lose in the 12 months from this 12 months in 2020? Can you see my point? They're dead. They're finished. And I, for one, am absolutely over the moon about it. I really am. You can see the trust level. This is from Mike Goldsworthy. The trust level in media is through the floor. If I take my image away here, you can see we're the worst in Europe. Just the worst. I've seen loads of statistics like this. I saw one where the only country in Europe that has a worse trust level in its media is Russia. No wonder we throw so much shade at Russia. They're the only people below us. And obviously you can see here, we're so far down that scale, it's actually cut off. It's actually on the bottom. The trust level in the media, of course, is the lowest. On the other hand, while their readership is declining and has, almost their advertising has dried up, their money. On the other hand, I happen to know that I was speaking to my friend over at other publications, shall we say, and they're having the best months ever. And they're free, no advertising, nothing. There's a massive shift. There's a massive shift in the way our media is going to be working in the future. For years, this is Lee Hayes, he says this, for years the majority of British newspaper journalists have rammed bullshit, agenda-driven lies and propaganda down our throats, and now these same egotistical pricks are begging us to buy a paper. Nah, you're all right, mate. He sums it up. Look at this. They're still doing it today. Look at the bullshit that you get from them. Double Down News say 953 deaths in the UK in 24 hours. That's in the last 24 hours. And that's the front page of The Sun today. Boris is out. Now that really is a good Friday. People are dying. I know people personally. Personally, I know people who have people affected by this. Close to them. I know one person who runs a care home that have had people with the coronavirus. This is real. People are dying, and that's The Sun doing their bullshit still to this day. They're finished. It's over. They're done. And you can see evidence all around. This is from Hilary Mitchell. I think Edinburgh Live editor she is. It's in her title. Reach are one of the top 3 largest and most financially successful publishers in the UK. So if they feel the need to do this at a time when journalists aren't exactly short of work, then what's next for journalism in the UK and other industries too? I put it to you, Hilary Mitchell, journalism in the UK will be fine. Prostitutes and propagandists are done. And obviously she's talking there about the Mirror publisher furloughing almost 1,000 employees. It's happening all over. It's not all good news. High Times have had to suspend the publication of a couple of their magazines, but this is going to be the new norm going forward. Every publication out there, magazine publication, news publication, your media that have relied on advertising and relied on, propaganda going forward, they're not going to exist. Jewish Chronicle and Jewish News are liquidated with staff made redundant on the first day of Passover. These are 2 of the outlets that have been smearing Jeremy Corbyn for the last 4 years. I suppose they've done their job, although they didn't go without a parting shot. I mean, right up until the very end. Look, this is Jewish News with Ruth Smith. She's writing an op-ed there about Keir Starmer's election. And it's time to draw a line in the sand. One of the last articles, of course. You know, it's happening in America as well. It's not just over here. I mean, this is from the Daily Beast, and an article about BuzzFeed slashing its staff. And I can't even read it because they want to shove their ads down my throat. Of course, I'm not going to even disable my ad blocker. You can start a sod off. These types of publications, they're finished. They are done. And real journalists, real journalism, they're the ones who are going to be rewarded. And I am so excited for the future because people like Matt Taibbi, they can see which way the wind is blowing. And he's going to end his publications into the print edition of Rolling Stone. He's going to continue with his crowdfunding and his work. He's going to publish his work on Substack. He's going to still got his Useful Idiots podcast with Katie Halper. But this is the way it's going now for the media. I mean, you've seen the way you've seen the way these late night hosts are trying to do their job from home. They can't do it. The format's dead. The real journalists like Matt Taibbi, I think, have a really, really bright future going forward. And I know it's real Schadenfreude, but I am so happy that the prostitutes and the propagandists, that media is done. It's finished. It's over. And that's why they're begging everybody, please buy our bullshit paper, because they know their jobs are about to go to the wind. My heart will not bleed for them. Real journalists are going to have a bright future, and prostitutes and propagandists who work at publications like The Sun and The Mirror, etc., you can just reel them off. The Guardian. They're done for. Things will not be the same going forward, that's for certain. We are witnessing the death of the corporate media in this country, and I think elsewhere in the West as well. Long live the real journalists. That's what I say. So happy about it. I really am. That was on that, yeah. So I want to talk about this because it's just funny now, to me, this is. It really is. So, this is from the BBC. So, Keir Starmer has unveiled his full shadow cabinet lineup. And you can see there, Jess Phillips is in it. Honestly, it's just funny to me now, this is, because they haven't got a chance, Labour have. They're dead. They're irrelevant. They're totally and utterly irrelevant now. And all of that, it's blah blah. It's just blah blah. They're irrelevant. Keir Starmer, to me, from this point forward now, that's what I'm going to call him. I'm going to call him Mr. Irrelevant, because that's really who he is. And Labour, they are the irrelevance. All of those people in his shadow cabinet. Mr. Irrelevant and the irrelevance. That's who Labour are now. Nobody's going to vote for them. They don't represent anybody. They're going to go away. And I'm going to be really glad about it as well. They are irrelevant now. Please don't send me any more messages asking me to join an irrelevant party. I get it all the time. All the time I see it in my... Please join the... What? You kidding me? You lot... I said it last week. You lot... you're more stupid than the MAGA Trump crowd. Labour, rah! Mod UKGK, thank you, man. In the super chat. No news is good news. When it was fake news. Anyway, yeah. I agree, mate. I do agree. Thanks very much for the super chat. To all the people who do support me, thanks very much. Couldn't do this without you. I realise this is tough time, so if you have to cancel your patronage to me, I understand. You know, if things are tight, cancel it, do it. If you can afford, great. I appreciate it, and I appreciate the trust that you put in me. Put it that way. Thank you. Right. I need to talk about the police, everybody. And I don't mean the band from the 80s, who were really, really, really good, in my opinion. We need to talk about the police because they've been a bit shit. To be fair, the messaging from them has been a bit shit. I mentioned the other day that when I had to travel, during the first few days of the lockdown, I had to travel, and I was talking to two policemen at the train station in Wolverhampton. And we had about a 5-minute conversation, and as soon as I mentioned to them, are you getting any mixed messages, they started laughing at me because I hit the nail on the head. They were saying how they're getting one set of rules and one set of things said by the government and by Boris Johnson in the press conferences, and then totally different set of things told them from their superiors. And they were saying that it's really difficult for them to obviously police with these mixed messages because they don't know what's right and what's wrong. I saw those policemen over there on the field the other day. They were saying the same sort of thing as well, although not as open about it. But they did say in general that the rules are being abided by, and I did a stream earlier that I saw it as well. People are abiding by these rules, certainly where I live and certainly the people that I've spoken to. You know, that field over there I did a live stream from earlier, there was like 5 people on an ordinary bank holiday, Good Friday, with the weather beating down, that would have been full. Totally full. So people are abiding by it. You would think then that the police would be pretty cool, wouldn't they? And pretty happy. No, obviously they're not happy. This is the Northampton police chief. Listen to what he was saying. Good work, by the way, this guy, Richard Taylor. He's put this together. Just listen to what this guy was saying. Yesterday.
We will not at this stage be starting to marshal supermarkets and checking the items in baskets and trolleys to see whether it's a legitimate, necessary item. But again, be under no illusion. If people do not heed the warnings and the pleas that I'm making today, we will start to do that.
So what he's saying is, if you're not heeding the warnings, we're going to start checking your shopping trolleys to make sure that it is an essential item. Now, unsurprisingly, this caused a bit of a furore, and this Mr. Taylor did a great job here of putting a thread together to the point where the police chief had to make an apology because of the furore that happened over this. Just want to publish his apology.
This morning there was a number of media reports and a couple of press conferences that I did. And I think that there's been a really short grab clip of one of the statements that I actually made, which has caused a bit of consternation, certainly on social media. And this is the bit around, are we going to start marshalling supermarkets and checking shopping trolleys and baskets and so on? I just want to be, and I'm going to take the unprecedented move, because I may have been clumsy in that language, so I'm going to, for absolute clarity...
Yeah, no kidding, mate. You're going to start checking shopping trolleys? No kidding. Don't you think you're overstepping the mark there and going a little bit too far?
I'm going to make the point just in a moment. Officers and staff of Northamptonshire Police will not carry out basket or trolley searches, attempting to ascertain the relevance of the items purchased.
So he's had to come out and make a statement saying, no, we're not going to actually check your trolleys. But this goes to my point, sort of proves my point. The police officers themselves don't know the rules. And the police chiefs are telling the police officers to do things in an incorrect way, or certainly giving them their own officers' advice, which is contrary to the government advice. Because obviously they can't start checking people's shopping trolleys. How can they? That's preposterous. Who is going to decide what is a necessary purchase? You know, if somebody goes to the shops and buys 4 cans of beer, and that's all they've got on them because that's all they can afford, and their husband's at home and he's an alcoholic and she's a victim of abuse, is she going to get a £60 fine now on top of it and then get back and get beat by... Do you see my point? You can't police people like that. It's a preposterous idea, and it's not surprising that he's had to come out and make a fumbling apology like that, because it's ridiculous. And I covered 2 other instances of it last week as well. We have to be able to create a system where saner heads are prevailing here. You know, how can you say what's a necessary purchase? I saw one, I'm not sure whether I clipped it up, but I saw one, here it is. So this is in Hull Live. People in Hull flocked to B&M during lockdown to buy hot tubs, light up trees and garden furniture. And B&M is obviously classed as an essential outlet. But B&M sell other stuff as well. B&M sell other stuff other than garden furniture. So what if somebody goes to B&M and buys some garden furniture because, I don't know, maybe it's a wife who is at home for the first time with her husband and kids and realise she fucking hates them, and the kids are a pain in the arse, even though all they've done for the last 5 years is sit in their rooms playing on their PlayStation. Now they're being told to sit in their rooms and play on their PlayStation. No, they want to go outside now. And the husband, he's sitting there with his smelly feet in front of the TV, and all she really needs to do to get through this lockdown, with any resemblance of sanity, and not knife her husband and kill her kids in some article that ends with the words "before turning the gun on herself" or whatever, is just to sit outside on a chair with a bottle of Pinot Noir, with a bottle of wine. You see my point? That would be an essential purchase, would it not? And if she does want to buy that and it's a non-essential purchase, and that's going to be classed as a non-essential purchase, then what about if she just buys some nappies as well? Are the police going to tell her that she's got to put... Do you see my point? It's ridiculous. And it's not the first instance we've seen over the last 2 or 3 weeks. Half the time it's the police who are being stupid, not the people, I'm finding. They'll have to use discretion in what they're doing. Obviously, the police will going forward. But they need to be on the same page as the government as to what is and isn't allowed. Because think about it. Their chiefs must all be on message. Because otherwise, they're just going to use it as an excuse for our police force to resemble something like the IDF. And we cannot have that. We cannot have that at all. If you are out and about and the police officer does come up to you and ask you, just be polite, be honest. They're just trying to do their job. Be nice to them. But at the same time, you know, use your common sense as to when you should be out and when you shouldn't. You know it makes sense. I really fucked that up at the end. B&M is like pound stretcher, says S. Carl Brown. I've bought some stuff from it in the past. Always thought it was pretty good. A Grateful Heretic says McDonald's is out on strike in America. That's a sure sign that the collapse is complete. Oh my God, McDonald's is out on strike. The people will riot. Good laugh. Horrible. So I just want to update you on the theatre that is American politics. Makes a welcome change from the theatre that is the UK politics, doesn't it? Matt Orfler has done another great video, because I don't know whether you've heard, but Bernie Sanders had dropped out and Joe Biden is now basically his good friend, I should say. Bernie's good friend. Joe Biden is the presumptive nominee for the Democratic Party to go up against Donald Trump. Reminder of who Joe is. Take a bow, Matt. This is brilliant.
It's said in here, your character is revealed.
I'm gonna wrap this chain around your head.
But it's in life where your character is formed.
Look, fam, poor kids are just as bright as white kids.
What you've overcome.
I'm like the token black or the token
How
woman.
you step up when the moment demands it.
You know the thing.
And what you do when the cameras are off.
See, I went to the big guys for the money.
Where you've led. What you've done.
Killed thousands of people.
And what you'll never stop working to do.
To prostitute myself.
Who you stand with.
Big money donors.
And who you fight for.
Biden spoke at a private fundraiser and told the big donors that under his presidency, no one's standard of living will change. Nothing will fundamentally change.
Character matters.
Lion, dog, face, pony soldier.
Maybe more here than anywhere.
You got the right candidate in Bernie. I'm Joe Biden, and I approve this message. Make sure you have the record player on at night. Have the record player on at night. Anyway, my time's up. Look, fam. Look, here's the deal. It's my little sister, Valerie, and I'm Jill's husband. Oh, no, you switched on me. This is my wife, this is my sister. They switched on me. My name's Joe Biden. I got hairy legs, and I'm a Democratic candidate for the United States Senate.
You know, your candidate might be better on, I don't know, healthcare than Joe is. But you've got to swallow a little bit.
This is my wife.
That's brilliant by Matt. Well done. Yes, so looks like it's going to be the DNC's campaign slogan by the look of it. Certainly what they're saying to their voters. Swallow it. Swallow it, progressives. This is who you've got. The DNC has made, from what I can tell, an absolute mockery of democracy and pissed all over their own constitution over the last 4 years. That's all I've seen from them. You know, along with the media too, with the media's help. Even some progressive media as well have been awful on it. You know, I keep seeing some progressive media retweeting polling. As if polling matters. Guys, your elections are rigged to fuck. You think polling matters when your elections are rigged? God damn it, and you call yourself progressive news? The DNC, and along with the media, have subverted their own democratic process, and not for the first time. You don't even have to go back as far as 2016. They did it with Tim Canova 2 years ago. 5% vote in every single demographic possible. That's mathematically extremely unlikely. And then you got obviously 2016. We know that they rigged the whole process there. There are instances all over the place. Rigged elections, you know, are one of the final signs of fascism. It's just a thought. Well, like I say, they've subverted their own democratic process again. And here's the thing, they're going to have to do it again. Because Joe Biden's the presumptive nominee, and there's no way that he can be the person who goes up against Trump. So they're going to have to subvert their own democratic process again in the next few months. At some stage, you've got to just look at it and say, okay, this is the DNC, this is the Democratic National Committee. You have to worry about any organisation, if you ask me, that's got democratic or democracy or something like that in the title. Because they're never democratic, and They're never a democracy, are they? The Democratic People's Republic of North Korea, not a democracy. The Democratic Republic of Congo, not a democracy. The National Endowment for Democracy. I don't give a shit about democracy. Max Blumenthal calls it the CIA's regime change wing. And of course, the Democratic National Committee. Not a democracy. And they're going to have to prove they're not democratic again because their presumptive nominee is, how can I put this, suffering from dementia, clearly. And even worse than that, because of this allegation of rape. And if you hear the details of it, and I see no reason to disbelieve this woman at all. The Democratic National Committee's answer to Donald Trump this year, bearing in mind in 2016 the furore over you can do everything, anything, quote, you could grab them by the pussy, is to put up somebody against him who quite literally is accused of grabbing a woman by the pussy. Matt Orfler's video. He nailed it. Swallow it, progressives. Swallow it. Incredible. Incredible. Right, that's all I wanted to do tonight, I think. Got 2 or 3 things I wanted to do. Thanks very much for tuning in, everybody. Stay indoors, please. Stay healthy. That's my best advice to you. Unless you're going out for like food or exercise, you know, be safe. Look after your community and your family because that's the most important thing right now. And I think a lot of people are really realising that. I think more and more people are realising it. People are really realising that we need to help each other through this. We need to be nice, even to police officers and people we haven't historically been nice to or necessarily deserve it, but be nice, even people that you've had grudges with. And try and get through it. Because I've seen a lot of theories recently from people who are friends of mine who've got, or everybody's got a different theory as to what's happening right there at the moment and where this disease and this crisis has come from. But I will say this to all those people, you're probably wrong. You really are, including me. Whatever my theory is, it's probably wrong. Because it's probably Mother Nature. That's my first thought. It really is probably, this is the 3rd coronavirus we've had this century. The 3rd outbreak. It's not like these things haven't happened in the past. And it's not like that, you know, we don't need to safeguard against them in the future because we bloody do. It's probably Mother Nature, so. However, I understand why people think it's other things. I understand why people don't think 5G is safe. I've yet to be convinced of it. But saying that doesn't mean you're a crazy conspiracy theorist. Saying you don't think 5G is safe is not the same as saying, oh, it's linked to... You see my point? But it could be, I suppose. Could be anything. I don't know. Could be Bill Gates. Could be Bill Gates. You know, but if it is, I don't want to ask him questions necessarily about this virus right now. I really don't. I want to ask him questions about his friendship with Jeffrey Epstein. That's where I want to go. You know, but, you know, okay, if you think it's Bill Gates and it's some conspiracy, more power to you. I understand if you think it's like the New World Order and some monetary system that's coming in. I get it. I get it, especially with the history of the central banks and them failing at the market. I get it. I get all of these things. I get it if you think it's a bioweapon as well. I do. You know, there was a small matter of a country declaring global war and putting a flag above that thing just a few months ago. I'm not saying it is them, but it could be a bioweapon. It could be any sort of state actor or non-state actor that has done it. It's most likely Mother Nature, but I get it could be any of these things. Honestly, if you think about it, you know, it's mutating very quickly. I've seen reports saying it's 8 different strains, so who knows? It could be. It could be aliens. I've done reports on how the US Navy, the pilots are seeing things that craft that are flying in ways that they say are against the laws of physics, and there was that ISS space station footage not so long ago, which they said was debris, but that thing looked like it had accelerated and was being pulled, not pushed. But it could be any of these. I don't know, and neither do you. That's the point I want to make. But one thing I do know is this. The virus is bloody real, and it's killing people. I know people who have been affected by it. And it's serious, and we need to stop indoors. And there are also, I know, there are also silver linings to all this as well. For start, the media is dead. And that is something that Schadenfreude isn't the word. This virus has killed it. But, you know, I woke up yesterday and the birds were singing and the air has been fantastic, and it's made me certainly remember what's most important in my life. And I know I'm not the only one. I had a conversation with somebody when I was on the way to the shops the other day, and they were looking into the history of where actually I'm from, and this is a farm, and we were talking about the history. People have become very aware of their roots and their immediate community, and this is good, because going forward, we're going to need each other. We really are. There are going to be new normals, I think, all over the place, not just in the media. Now, you can argue that this is some kind of new world order, all you like. You really can, but there's no two ways about it. Things are going to change in the future, and they need to. Let's remember that, because we can't continue. I mean, just look at what capitalism and greed and consuming has done to our media. You know, a culture of consumerism. Look at what it's done to the media. We're letting this greed and this capitalism and consumption. We're like lemmings running off a cliff. Because if we carry on doing this, we're going to destroy ourselves. We owe it to future generations to change. At least I think so. I'll do what I can to give you interesting conversations with educated people going forward, far more educated than me, because I obviously know nothing about anything. I've got more interviews set up. I'm going to do more interviews with people. I really like doing them. I like having the conversation. And yeah, I'm going to do more of those going forward. And I want to thank everybody for supporting me. I really appreciate it. But remember, look after yourself in these times. So if you've got to cancel your patronage to me, do so immediately. Don't worry about it. Thanks very much, everybody. I'm going to, go and have something to eat. Take care. I'll see you all soon.